This is your solar eclipse update for June 2020. Our solar eclipse is on the solstice. This is a time of major transformation. It's combined with 5 retrograde planets happening at the same time. This really is a breakthrough for a new direction, the new direction we are so ready for. And there is a dance between the divine feminine and the sacred masculine that we're all being called to participate in and harmonize within ourselves, the dance of Shakti and Shiva. This is where you're being called to up your game on really being able to decipher what is true. Have a huge amount of compassion for yourself and for all the things that are uprising in the world right now so that we can all come together in this birthing of this new paradigm. I know that you might be feeling stressed and pulled outside of yourself and ungrounded. I'm going to give you the awareness, the insight, and the tools to make the best out of navigate this solar eclipse to get the transformation and the breakthrough you're ready for. Hi, I'm Prema Gurreri, Vedic astrologer, soul guide, and creator of your Sacred Wealth Code, and I am so thrilled that you're here today. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of my updates. I'm here to help you to chart your path. So this solar eclipse that we're having is on the solstice. It is June 20th, Eastern Standard Time at Eastern Daylight Time, at 11:45. Now, eclipses, we are in the second of a 3 eclipse pattern. We only usually have 2. We have another lunar eclipse to come on 4th of July here in the United States, Independence Day. These are celestial storms. These bring unconscious things up to the surface. We're seeing that right now, big time. There's been things that are brewing below the surface that we've ignored, that we haven't paid attention to, or that have just gotten buried. And it's like sort of pulling the scab off the wound. We have things uprising right now that we need to take a look at and come to a better sense of truth and choice around these things. This is affecting you personally and collectively. This is it's an agitation, these eclipses are. They're about transformation, they're about growth, so they shake up areas of life. It's doing that somewhere specifically for you. In Vedic astrology, this is happening in Gemini. Yes, Vedic astrology, the sidereal zodiac. And whatever Gemini represents in your chart is the area of life there's going to be a big change and a new direction. We had a solar eclipse back on Christmas Day here in North America, and that was also the sort of the other end of this. That would happen on the, near the winter solstice. This is happening near the summer solstice. This is the galactic plane that these 2 eclipses and this eclipse pattern is on, and there's a big energy of desire to balance the masculine and the feminine energy within us all, harmonize it, bring it into its divine nature and its sacred nature. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here in this update, so hang in with me. So these places of agitation and growth, it is not always comfortable by any means when we're about to transform. Look back at your life at things that you've transformed, that you had a big change, and a lot of times you were maybe even at a breaking point before you got to the breakthrough. We are feeling that now. But because of where the planets are currently, we've moved out of the very acute and harsh kind of energy in the transformation. I'm not saying that aren't going to be things that come up that are hard still. There are. But there is more grace and a little bit more ease and gentleness because of where the north node of the moon, the magician, where the solar eclipse is actually happening, the lunar mansion that it has moved into is Mrigashira. And I'll give you a little bit more about that in just a moment. What I do want you to know, though, is that we also have these 5 retrograde planets, and I'll talk about each one of those at the end of this update. And though retrograde planets are really strong, so we've got all this strength, we've got all the support to move us through this breakthrough. We also have 5 retrograde planets involved at this time, which is giving us a lot of strength during this time, and I'll talk to you a little bit more in the forecast about that. We started this month off with a lunar eclipse, and you can get the link below to watch the video for that lunar eclipse. And that was really bringing up some heavy emotions for us and causing us to examine our values and really giving us the courage to make some new choices and do some things differently. Also, the way we treat each other and around relationships. The solar eclipse is happening in Gemini. It's in the lunar mansion of Mrigashira, and this is just moved out of Ardra, a very harsh place, into Mrigashira. And again, this is the galactic plane here. And this is this shift and balance, and there's this masculine and feminine energy moving in here. The magician is the north node of the moon in the sacred wealth system, and the magician is always working at transforming things and alchemizing things. And sometimes that's a hard process, it's a harsh process, and sometimes it's filled with grace. But the intention is to get truth to come up to the surface with this solar eclipse. And we have all been digging for the truth. We have a lot of misinformation as well as a lot of truth and information coming up. And through this process, it's not always pretty. There is hard truths that are coming up, or hard information, and we have to really discern some of the choices we've made and the choices we made collectively, and where do we want to go now. We're in that breakdown before the breakthrough, and the breakdown is messy and it's hard. So during the breakdown period that we're in, it's imperative that you stay grounded, that you pull back from anything that's causing extra pressure on you. Like a pressure cooker, you want to release the pressure valve, but you don't want to hit anybody else in that release. So you don't want to do it through your temper, through getting pushed to the edge, because the times we're in can push you to the edge. There's a lot of extra stress in the cosmic soup right now. That's an internal pressure we have on ourselves. So what can you take off your plate right now? What can you, doesn't really need to happen, because you're going to feel like, oh, I have to get this done, or people are going to want you to be somewhere or do something. You need to make the choices and be able to say no to things that are going to add too much on you, so that you can't be present, you can't see the truth, and be able to take those off your plate, so that you give yourself and your soul just more room to move, more time in your decision-making process. In fact, let me remind you, with any eclipse, you don't want to make any big choices the day before, the day of, and the day after. So this is happening very close to midnight on the 20th. So no big decisions on the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, and even the 22nd with this eclipse. These are the times you want to give yourself some time for some practices that help you to open up to the transformation that's coming through to you. And I'll talk about that in just a moment here. But because of the lunar mansions, because of the nakshatras this is playing out in, we're getting this this call to harmonize this masculine and feminine energy within all of us. The energy, like I said, will get gentler. Like we saw a lot of protests, and now we're seeing a lot of demonstrations. That's a slight shift, but it is a shift. Remember that these breakthroughs are really calling us to, it's about birthing this new paradigm we're in. It's not pretty, and if you've ever seen a birth or been at a birth or had a birth, you know that it's a messy process, and it's got fits and starts to it, and we're in that birthing process, but we're doing it collectively. So every choice that you make helps to shift the consciousness, helps to shift us into the new paradigm. And I think that's one of the things that we're all really challenged with now, is looking at, have we been aware of all of our choices, and realizing that we are part of the collective, and there's information we didn't even know about, and how do we come together as one, instead of some of the ways that we have separated. The greatest pain that we ever feel is the separation of source within us, the separation from the oneness that we are. And then if you look at us as a culture and as a global community, we've done that in many ways. And so we're, those wounds are really fresh right now. And it's a time to, don't have compassion for yourself and for each other during this time, and allow the new choices to come up for you and how you're going to move forward differently. Because this eclipse is happening in Gemini in Vedic astrology, and where it is happening, this Mercury rules this placement, and Mercury is here, and Mercury is that intellect. It's that this is a very curious place, a place where we sort of wonder, and look for the solutions to things. And Mercury is also the great messenger, and in the Sacred Wealth Code system, the messenger. In fact, if you'd like to know what one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes is, you can click the link to the free quiz below. The messenger goes out beyond the sun, and we don't know where it goes, but it comes back with the message. And that's also what we have at play here for us now. And it's not about sitting down and working hard to figure it out. We need to open up and let the answers come. And this eclipse is going to give a portal for that. It's going to give you the time, the space, the an opening for you to access energy and information that isn't always available. Imagine it like there's a hidden door in the room, and you didn't know that there is this hidden door that can open and close, and there's beauty of nature that could come in, or you could step out into a different world. Well, that's like this portal that we have with the eclipse. So you want to make sure that you give yourself some time on the eclipse day, around the eclipse day, to sit in meditation. And in fact, you can also click below. I have a free meditation for you that's going to help you to harmonize your masculine feminine energy, and that's a wonderful way to work with this and see where you're out of balance with the masculine, the sacred masculine and the divine feminine, and to be able to harmonize that energy within you and come back into balance where you're out of balance. Or any kind of meditation, open up to that those long walk in nature, that that yoga practice, anything that's going to really open you up. This is the time you want to dig into your spiritual teachings and your practices, so you can let the answers, the truths drop in for you. Every time you make a new choice and a new truth comes to you and you step into it, you shift the collective. Now just imagine us all doing that. We need to do that. So these breakthroughs are coming, and a little bit more about this masculine feminine energy that's really come to the surface and wants to harmonize. So we have the sacred masculine and feminine working, in the mental, in the idea realm. And like I said, there's more ideas that are available to us through this eclipse time. And the masculine is that fiery, Mars-like honorable warrior energy, and it's really striving for that liberation. It's got a deep amount of courage. It wants direction and can bring clarity and can bring energy, effort, and the discipline of the masculine. And we have to be careful to stay out of the shadow of that masculine energy, which we've seen, which is that anger, that aggression, that dominance, that self-centeredness. And then the feminine, the divine feminine energy, merging with that, of that sensitivity, that compassion. That masculine's more about fire energy, and this is more about water. That sensitivity, that compassion, that longing to merge with the divine through the heart, very, very devotional. And bringing those together and not getting stuck also in the shadow of the feminine, which is over emotional, sort of negativity, even the sort of victim kind of play on things and consciousness. These energies coming to their highest state and blending together, and how they support each other. Us as a culture, us as humanity, us as a soul group, as a soul tribe. This is what we need to really bring together and open up to during this time, and because of where this eclipse plane is. It's right on the galactic plane. It is right on, again, where we have this energy of the masculine and feminine and the different ways that it plays out, and we want to bring it up to the highest level of it playing out. So again, you're feeling the mix of all of this and how to navigate it, how to get out of the confusion, or out of where you feel out of control and just overstressed or sort of ungrounded. I sure had a bout of that this last weekend, where it's just like, please, not another thing. It just felt like, wow, I just can't take another thing. So I really had to step out, recalibrate. I'm a nature girl, so deep, long walk in nature. As a pattern I was running, I needed to let go of around control. Your patterns are going to keep coming up, your belief systems, and you want to have ways to release them. That's what I teach with all my communities, how to step out of that. If you're still stuck in fear, again, there's another free link below to my Releasing the Fear class, and also just really want to help you in any way I can to shift all of this. It's time to break through to the truth. And so I want to encourage you to do your practices during this time. Notice if you're feeling really stressed, you need to step out of what's you perceive as stressing you, so you can step into yourself. You can pull in. So anything you have on your plate that you can take off, take it off, because this will help you to be able to, do a little less so that you can open up to this great portal coming through. Again, the meditation that I have down below for you for balancing your masculine and feminine, or I should say harmonizing. It's not an exact score of balance. It's what you need to do to balance that energy. As you balance it for all of us. So we also have this Mercury retrograde going on. I talked a little bit more about that in the Lunar Eclipse video, which is again down below, I mentioned before. And then this communication is going to be a little bit challenged still, really until we get out of this Mercury retrograde, or at least until we get past this eclipse. So let's say till the end of June, it'd be really watch your confrontation. Don't choose really hard conversations. They're going to come at you anyway, but don't choose to have them. Take a breath, take a pause, take a step back before you react. You want to respond and not react. And we have Jupiter moving back into Sagittarius. It's retrograding, but on the 29th, 30th, it's coming back into Sagittarius. It's going to line up with a retrograding Pluto, which is also going to bring some breakthroughs, but Jupiter is going to then be in a position in Sagittarius where it's bringing its grace, it's bringing its light, it's bringing its expansion. Again, that's going to also aspect where this solar eclipse is happening, and it's going to shine the light, and that is going to be very helpful in the new choices that we need to make in the breakthroughs. We also have Venus retrograde still going on. Venus is super strong in Taurus. I've talked about that in my May and the update in the June update as well. And this is relationships and how we value and respect each other. See how that's playing out for all of us right now in your own relationships, in our collective relationships, in our relationships with everyone on the planet. We all want to be valued and respected, and we need to give that to each and every one of us, and so to get to each other. So we're taking a closer look at that. But Venus wants to bring that grace and bring that beauty. So find that beauty in your life. Find that beauty in nature. Find that beauty in each other. We want to see the divine in each other. It's a tall order, but it's really where we're going. It's where we need to go. And we still have Saturn retrograde. It'll be retrograde till the end of September, and it is holding strong in Capricorn, helping us to recreate structures, tearing down those structures that aren't working, and helping us to create new structures that are actually going to support this new paradigm that we're stepping into, that we're shifting into. So much love to you. Subscribe, click the like button, and share this so that other people can have support. So much love to you, and stay tuned. I'll be bringing you another update very soon.